This is Omer from MMOs.com. Do a quick first impressions gameplay video for Warlords Awakening, a buy-to-play action MMORPG developed and published by Playwith Interactive. I'll spend about 10 to 15 minutes on the ground checking this game out, make quick comments. If you guys do want to play Warlords Awakening or just learn more about it, do check out the full review on MMOs.com on the link below. Let's go and get started right now. We can see the character creator, and we can see her boobs moving on their own. That's kind of weird, but I like it. I approve. Anyway, this game is actually just a remake or a relaunch of ELOA, which was launched back in 2015, and then through Webzen, and then they shut it down when the game failed. It was free to play back then, and then Game picked it up, and then it shut down over there as well. And now it relaunched for some reason as a buy-to-play game called Warlords Awakening on Steam in August of 2018. So you have, looks like 5 playable classes, and you have 4 races as well. There is some actual locks, like if you've been an assassin, you can only be as a, I think you can only be a female assassin as a Naru, and there are some locks between gender on a few of them, but mostly you can play whatever you want. But let's go jump into my other character already. So you have 5 playable characters, and each of them have basically 3 different like class builds, not really builds, but like ways to play them. And I'll show you that once we get in. So right away, I played this before back when it was ELOA as well. It's really weird to see this game relaunched as a buy-to-play game, namely because it was free to play and then nobody played it and it shut down. So for some reason they think as a buy-to-play game, people are going to play it, and I don't think that's going to happen. The game averages like 100 players on Steam right now, which is actually better than I thought. But it's just really bizarre that they relaunched this as a buy-to-play game. That guy looked, the background looked pretty crazy. And there's some little voice acting in the game too, but for the most part, it's kind of meh. But where this game really stands apart, I'll show you in a bit. Basically, you have these open instance areas, persistent zones. So the game actually kind of mixes a bit like Soul Worker or DFO in that you have instance zones. There's actually quite a few of them. Like, there are instance zones you can go access from these maps, and then their maps themselves are actually persistent. So it's a bit like Critic on that regard as well. Let's go kill these enemies over here. What do we gotta do for our quest? We gotta go down number 6. Let's go do that real quick. But the game's real, I guess, differentiation is the fact that you have a lot of skills in this game. So you can see F1, 2, and 3. I have 3 different like sets of abilities. If I click F2, I switch to Ice mode. F3, I switch to this mode down over here with Thunder mode. And they have their own set of skills and stuff too. You can actually specialize in those skills if you want in the game's skill menu. So if you want to go more heavy on lightning, you can, and your lightning attacks do more damage and whatnot. And you have a limited number of skill points too, so you can't really master everything. But it's a lot of switching. So you have like 18 abilities you can equip at once, which is a bit much because you do use all of them, especially at the beginning. Like, is there a long cooldown for abilities? So once you go through your cooldown, you just go to the next set. So you're constantly pressing buttons, which is a hit or miss depending on if you want to press buttons or not. But if you want to kill things efficiently, you do have to play that way, where you're constantly rotating between F1, 2, and 3. And every class in the game has these different ways to play too. So if you see the game's skills, like my Ignition, my F1 over here, you get more crit chance with more MP, and you can see different stats for each one. So I think some of the tank, like one of the warrior characters gets more defense with one build and whatnot too. So you really go through all of them. It just gives you lots of different like ways to play the same character, and you can really only specialize in a handful of them too. So that's really the game's really one neat thing. I mean, most MMORPGs, whether it's WoW, whether it's Critico, whether it's TFO, you don't have too many buttons to press. You're basically doing the same rotation. While you do the same rotation in this game too, abilities have a long cooldown, which forces you to use a lot more abilities, which makes the gameplay feel a little more hands-on, which is, you could say it's a positive, but it's also a bit of a negative because like you just, while waiting, you constantly have to press buttons, which this stuff's really easy anyway, but I mean, things will get harder later on. But it does make the gameplay feel a bit more interactive. I mean, the core gameplay here isn't bad, and I'm pretty sure when I first did my ELOA video, I said the game wasn't bad either, but unfortunately, having a not bad game just really isn't enough these days for people to play it, especially when your game is buy-to-play. I mean, there are so many free-to-play games that have isometric camera angle, that are actiony kind of like this, and that are, have instance dungeons. So you have so many free-to-play alternatives, including stuff like Soul Worker and DFO, which have been around forever. And if you want a more traditional isometric game, you still have Path of Exile as well. So the problem is this game is buy-to-play. That's the biggest problem with this game, honestly, because the core gameplay isn't bad. It's a game you could easily jump into with a bunch of friends, play for a few hours, and possibly maybe a week or two and have a lot of fun with it. And it's fun for that regard, especially for people that like hopping between games. So our quest is we gotta get these goblin soups. We gotta kill these goblins real quick because they keep spawning real quick next to them. Boom, we're level 10 now. Can we get this? Oh yeah, give me that goblin soup. Did I get it? Oh my god, these goblins, they spawn way too quick sometimes. So like, we gotta kill these guys and then we can loot the goblin soup. We just aggro more enemies right now. I kind of wish we can zoom the camera out a bit further out, but unfortunately I don't think you can. I mean, the game runs really smoothly too. I mean, besides the fact that it's buy-to-play, it's the biggest drawback, and for that reason alone, it's going to be very hard to recommend. Biggest drawbacks is the voice acting is really bad, but there is voice acting in the game, so I'm not sure why. Like, maybe they're trying to justify the cost. I don't remember there being voice acting back when it was through Webzen, but there's some really bad voice acting in the game, but it's not that big of a deal. And the gameplay is beyond the 3 F1, F2, F3, like 3 ways to play your character. The core gameplay is pretty generic. Again, it's just a different take on Critica, Soul Worker, and actually it's very similar to MMO Legend actually, because MMO Legend also has persistent world with instance dungeons, and there are instance dungeons in this game too, and quite a bit of them actually too. So it follows that same formula. So we did our quest over here. We can hand it over here with the question marks glowing on our screen. We got some other quests we can do down there as well. So we'll hand this one in first real quick. The backgrounds aren't that bad either, but like I feel like most of the maps have this really weird blue tint to it, which is a bit odd. Skip all this nonsense. There's a pretty robust pet system as well, which is not bad. You can see my pet following me, and every pet in the game I believe acts as a mount too, so you can jump on them. They look pretty cool. I mean, you see other people in the background running with really crazy mounts sometimes, but you really won't see too many people playing this game because it's free to play once again. But it works. It's a functional game. It runs really smoothly, and I do like having a lot of buttons personally, but I can see it getting really annoying later on. Because most of the time when I'm playing WoW or Final Fantasy 14, it's you're mashing the same like 4 buttons over and over again. So it's nice that it feels, you know, like you can really just hit more buttons. It feels more interactive. And if you feel lazy, you don't have to. You can just wait for your cooldowns to do auto attacks. But I like pressing more buttons sometimes. It makes it feel more interactive for me. All right, let's see. We did this quest, hand this in, and the quests are very generic too. I mean, you basically pick up items off the ground, killing tons of enemies. The same generic stuff you'd see basically in every MMORPG. And some of the kill quests are kind of nice because, like, unlike a lot of games where kill quests are like go kill 10 things, it's like go kill 50 things in this game. So it's definitely more grindy like that. But I actually kind of prefer that. But this one's a tough recommend. I mean, honestly, I don't recommend it. The game failed twice already as a free-to-play game, and I don't think it's going to make it as a buy-to-play game. I mean, there just aren't many players online. It's very hard to see other people. And for a relatively new game to have 100 players online, it's definitely not a good start for the game. I mean, if they went free-to-play with some polishments, they could probably survive, but not as is. I think they have to go free-to-play eventually. This quest, I think, is done as well. Let's go talk to our boy, Jorgona Igoten. I mean, I'm not going to read the story, and I don't think anyone playing this game is reading the story, but it's there. Let's see. The pet system is pretty robust as well, as I said earlier. I mean, you can breed your pets later on, and just having your pet with you. I think my pet gives like 1% HP and some other bonuses. So every pet gives you certain bonuses. They level up and get stronger too. And with the action combat, like you can avoid, like everything is actually aimed. So you have to actually dodge attacks. So PvP can be kind of interesting, but we can't do that to level 40. And even if you get to level 40, not many players are online to even participate in PvP with, unfortunately. Let's see. Let's hand this quest in too. Why not?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Complete this quest, hand these bad boys in, get more quests. It's very linear progression as well. I mean, once you finish one zone, it just takes you to the next zone, and we can do dungeon matching now if we want to as well. So we can go to the Scarlet Fields over there. Let's go there right now by ourselves. I think we'll be fine. And again, it's basically these persistent maps, just like Lineage, not Lineage, MMO Legend. You have these dungeons over here. We can do this 9 or higher, enter dungeon right here. And it just goes to these instance zones. These are all instance. Other players, you know, unless I party with them, will not be able to see me or come in here. You can't see other players in the persistent maps where we just came from, though. Gotta talk to this communication device. Let's do this. Nice. All right, quest grabbed. Now we work our way through the dungeon, kill the boss at the end, and get our rewards. Again, very similar to Critica, Soul Worker, and whatnot. But it's got the isometric camera angle. The action combat is pretty fun too. The spell effects aren't bad either. It just, I don't know what they were thinking as a buy-to-play game. So if it was like $2 or $5, yeah, maybe. But it's going to be a really tough sell. There's just so many free-to-play alternatives that you can play instead. I mean, plus the game already failed twice. So, you know, if the game shut down twice already, it's just, there's almost no hope on that front. But it's one of those games I could easily see myself playing for a few days just for fun. And there's a lot of, you know, the beauty of a lot of free-to-play MMORPGs is that you can kind of rotate between them. You know, there's no commitment. But it's going to be hard to, you know, jump into this game. But if you like what you see, you know, I would say if you like what you see, you can try it. But no, if you like what you see, unless you're willing to pay money, you're not going to be able to try it. It'd be nice if they had a free trial at least too, like some kind of like 7-day free trial, unlimited. That way, you know, that would probably make the most sense, I think, for a game like this. So we get more. You get random loot box over here. It's got randomized item system as well, kind of like I guess the Diablo games and the MMO Legend. So you can see like even the same piece of gear might have different stats. My elite duration increased by 1% if I wear this. I get armor piercing +1 with this. So you know, even if the gear is the same level, it's got some randomized stats to it, which is kind of fun if you want to make certain like fun different builds and stuff. So in our elite form, click F4. It's a little transformation scene. A lot of games do this. I know Silk Road Online had a similar system where you can like transform every once in a while. But the transformation in this game, the Elite Lord transformation, it doesn't really feel like it packs a big punch. Like, I'll show you what it does in a second. If you highlight it, it tells you like plus 8% damage. The numbers are just not that big. So it's like, it's not even a big buff that you can really look forward to it. So, you know, I kind of hope that if you're doing a big transformation, you get like really badass. But that is not the case. Can't go here to like kill all these enemies right now. Let's go blast these guys real quick. Down here as well. And it starts off super easy. In fact, all the potioning too in the game, it auto heals for you. You can set like your potions to auto use at certain levels, so it kind of makes that part a bit easy. But just blasting like giant waves of enemies is always fun. I mean, in Tree of Savior, I find that to be very amusing as well. Just blowing up enemies. The death animations in that game were super satisfying. Here, you just pull a lot of enemies and just blast them with giant AoE spells, which it feels satisfying. Okay, we can go forward over here now. After we clear this dungeon, we'll call it. Let's go towards our boss over there. It's always marked on the map, so you can never really get lost for your quests. These guys are basically pose no threat early on. You kill all these guys before you move on. So it just, you're walled off as well till you kill everything. And the cool thing is actually, even though you have 18 spells, you can only equip 6 spells or so, like per like F1, F2, and F3. So each of your like modes, there's actually more than 6 spells too. So you're actually choosing which spells to equip at a time, which is kind of neat because your slots become a resource in the game. So like we have actually more skills over here that we can actually equip at once. So you gotta pick and choose the ones you actually want. And you have a very limited number of skill points too. And if you're spraying them between like 3 sets of trees, it can be, you know, every character will be slightly different, which is kind of cool.
Really?
Really?
You put an end to all
You hear that voice acting in the background. This one's not bad. Some of the voice acting in town is just atrocious. All right, do we read the diary? Are we good? All right, we gotta kill this dude now over here. Let's go dodge the orange circles. All right, let's kill this guy. Look at his HP in the front. Look at that sick evasion. Blast everything. And you're always pressing buttons in this game. Like, because everything's on cooldown, so you're literally using all your abilities. And again, I find that kind of cool. You know, at least having to do all this stuff, it just, normally when you play a game, you can turn your brain off completely and just mash the same few buttons over and over again. So I know a lot of people probably aren't going to like this because just mashing all these buttons requires a lot more attention in a lot of MMORPG. I mean, not to say the game is particularly difficult, but you're just always pressing buttons, which is something, you know, you would think is normal in MMORPG games or really any video game. But no, you know, most games you're pressing a handful of buttons over and over again. Here, a lot of different buttons over and over again. So you can see me constantly just jumping around using abilities. Oh wow, we actually got hit that time. Right, we'll have to back up again. Bad boy's almost dead. Easy peasy. But hopefully, you know, we'll see if the game can survive the third time around. We'll see if the buy-to-play model ends up working for this game or not. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to work. I think if they're a free trial, at least get people in the door. But it's really tough to pay for a game that was free to play and has already failed. Pretty sure the game shut down its home market of South Korea as well. So it seems like there's no reason to pay for this game. It almost feels like my conflict is that the core gameplay isn't terrible, and as a free-to-play game, it'd be kind of fun to play for a while. I mean, you're not going to probably commit to this game, but as a buy-to-play game, I can't recommend it. I mean, it's just too many other free-to-play alternatives that are just superior. But if you like what you see and you do want to play, you can check it out on Steam. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Later, guys.